Now it's time to see who has the heart.
If you put your effort and concentration into playing to your potential to be the best that you can be, I don't care what the scoreboard says at the end of the game, in my book, we're going to be winners.
This is your time. Now go out there and take it.
I know you're tired. I know you're hurting. And I wish I could say something that was classy and inspirational. But that just wouldn't be our style. Pain heals. Chicks dig scars. Glory lasts forever.
Welcome to the Best of Tailgate Talk, where we go back into the archives and hear some of our special guests you may have missed the first time around. We'll be back with the Best of Tailgate Talk after this. Come see all your friends at Applebee's in Athens. 12 minutes guaranteed or it's free Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7 items to choose from. Can't make it for lunch? Visit them for happy hour, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. or late night. Half-price appetizers with beverage purchase, 6 appetizers to choose from. Call 233-4430 or order online at Applebee's.com and pick your meal up with Carside to go. Applebee's Neighborhood Grill, Highway 72 in Athens, just off I-65. Eating good in the neighborhood. Real estate, real easy. That's the motto at Innovative Realty Solutions, and providing the highest quality real estate services is their mission. With sound real estate advice, the latest information, and a skilled analysis of the real estate market, Innovative Realty Solutions offers a better home buying and selling experience with a fair, ethical, and, yes, innovative process. Innovative Realty Solutions. Visit them on Facebook, online at innovativerealtysolutions.com, at 100 North Clinton Street in Athens, or call 230-5950. Innovative Realty Solutions. Real estate, real easy. When things go wrong, State Farm is here to help life go right. And Agent Michael Howell is the one who can help get things back on track. See Michael for your auto, home, life, health, property, and business insurance, and be ready for those unexpected twists that life throws at you. Ask about banking and annuities, too. Call State Farm Agent Michael Howell at 232-5400. Visit him online at michaelhowell.net or go see him at 903 South Clinton Street in Athens. State Farm Agent Michael Howell. There when things go wrong, here to help life go right.
From day one, First National Bank has been built on a strong foundation of community first. First to lend a helping hand, first to help with community events and fundraisers, first to support local students, athletic programs, and civic organizations, first to support events like United Way, Relay for Life, and many more charitable events, and most importantly, working for our great community. Without you, there'd be no First National Bank. Making communities great together, that's what we strive for.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC.
The world is changing.
The Tailgate Talk app has changed. It's got a new name and a new look. It's now known as PAS Plus, and it's your home for Applebee's Tailgate Talk, along with James Clement Sports and Calhoun Basketball.
Ooh, change never hurt, huh?
Look for the download links at PASnetwork.net or TailgateTalk.net. PAS Plus, Play Action Sports, plus a little extra. PAS Plus from Play Action Sports. Back with another Best of Tailgate Talk and more fun interviews from past shows this morning. We start things off hearing from author John Rosengren, who visited with us about his latest book, The Greatest Summer in Baseball History, How the 73 Season Changed Us Forever. We move on to our first conversation with former sprinter Tyree Washington. Former Alabama linebacker Conley Duncan comes in after that, followed by former Auburn fullback Kevin McLeod. Sports psychologist Dr. Harold Shinitzky wraps things up. We'll be back live in a couple of weeks at Mud Volleyball for a Cure at Swan Creek Park next to Athens Middle School, so be sure to come see us and maybe form a team to play in the tournament. Also, don't forget to go to tailgatetalk.net and enter your nominations for Athlete of the Week polls starting back up in August. We'll be back with Best of Tailgate Talk after this. P4 Physical Therapy is a new outpatient provider offering community-based care with a unique partnership model that allows them to consistently deliver world-class outpatient care, emphasizing personalized hands-on treatment. Whether it's orthopedic, physical, geriatric, or manual therapy, sports or neuro rehab, telehealth, or most any type of muscle or joint pain, P4 Physical Therapy promises to treat you with integrity, compassion, faithfulness, and selflessness. Locations in Athens, Huntsville, and Winfield, Alabama, as well as Fayetteville and Knoxville, Tennessee. Look for them on Facebook or online at p4physicaltherapy.com. Daly & Son Car Care is Ardmore's only one-stop auto repair and tire shop. Whether it's major mechanic or brake work or routine maintenance like an oil change or lube job, Daly & Son Car Care has been satisfying customers all over with their fast and friendly service. They're also your headquarters for quality Cooper tires. Stop by and see Wayne, Nikki, or Dale at 25600 Main Street in Ardmore, Tennessee, or call them at 931-427-4651. They're on Facebook, too. Daly & Son Car Care, open Monday through Friday, 7:30 till 5, and Saturday, 7:30 till noon.
Ardmore Telephone Company has been operating right here in your community since the 1950s. Over the years, we've brought you advanced communication services such as telephone, high-speed internet, and security systems. And going forward, we'll be right here ready to provide you with innovative services and the high level of customer service you've come to expect. At Ardmore Telephone, our proof is the test of time, running decades deep. We're Ardmore Telephone, and we are here to stay. For more details, call 1-800-830-9946 or visit ardmore.net.
With all the technology around us today, it's hard to keep up. Goldsmith Technical Services specializes in residential and commercial computer and electronics repair, automation, IT services, and home theater systems and audiovisual services. Goldsmith Technical Services. Call or text 256-203-4226. Visit them on Facebook or online at goldsmithtechnical.com. Let them tailor a package that meets your needs. Goldsmith Technical Services, 256-203-4226. While others have come and gone, the Lion's Den Gym has been roaring as a workout and exercise fixture in Athens, growing from its humble basement beginnings in 1981 to their current 10,000 square foot location at 212 Commercial Drive in Athens. The Lion's Den offers 24/7 access to their ever-expanding equipment collection that includes treadmills and climbers, elliptical trainers, stationary bikes, loose weights and dumbbells, and over 45 different weight machines. Contact the Lion's Den Gym about a membership today at 256-652-2627. Visit them online at lionsdengym.com or on Facebook. The Lions Den Gym, 256-652-2627.
Have you noticed bad behavior has become normalized at interscholastic athletic events? Some fans seem angry. They lack civility toward one another. Some even get aggressive and unruly. Time out! What is going on? This has to stop. Let's not forget, school sports aren't just about winning. And they're definitely not an excuse to take your frustrations out on the official or the opponent. They're about teaching lessons like perseverance, respect, and empathy, so students can learn and grow as people, not just as players. We all have a role to play in setting a good example for our students and teaching them these important values. So fans, it's time to step up your game and behave positively at interscholastic athletic events in Alabama.
This message presented by the AHSAA and the Alabama High School Athletic Directors and Coaches Association.
Tune in every Tuesday through Thursday this coming football season for the WKAC Coaches Shows. Join us as we get the scoop from Ardmore, Athens, Clements, East Limestone, Elkmont, James Clemens, Tanner, and West Limestone. The WKAC Coaches Shows on 1080 WKAC. Welcome back to the Best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
We have got the author, John Rosengren. The greatest summer in baseball history, how the 73 season changed us forever. Now, John, we've been speculating on what happened in that 73 season because we've not read your book yet. Fill us in and let us know, man.
Well, I'm happy to. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for joining us.
So, 1973 was actually a watershed year in baseball history. Not only did you have a very exciting pennant race with the Mets and the coming from last place on August 30th to win the division and then the playoff and go to the World Series. And you had the Oakland A's, the wrestling, irascible bunch of guys who fought among themselves but were united by a common enmity of their owner, Charlie Finley. And they got to the World Series. And there you had Willie Mays in his final years passing the torch of superstardom to Reggie Jackson in his first World Series, who defined the modern superstar with his chest-thumping big talk.
Right.
And then we also had George Steinbrenner buying the Yankees at a time when the Yankees had fallen on hard times. And he brought the infusion of big money into the game to buy back the Yankees' faded glory. And you had, Hank Aaron chasing Babe Ruth's hallowed 714 mark, and that riveted the nation, and not just baseball fans, but NBC was interrupting its programming to announce his home runs in September, and he was Newsweek called him the most conspicuous sports figure in America. So that was huge. And most significantly, perhaps, was the introduction of the designated hitter rule, which was the first major rule change in 80 years in Major League Baseball, and it changed the game forever. So that one season, I think, there's before 1973 and after 1973 in Major League Baseball history.
Gotcha. Now, call me what you want to call me. I don't care. The designated hitter rule is for candy butts that don't want to bat after they throw a high and tight. You got to expect to be up there and go batting as well.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan.
That's what Carl Yastrzemski raised that same argument. He was concerned that if pitchers could go on and take the mound without having to come to the plate, that they'd be more likely to throw at batters. And sure enough, there was a couple of guys did a study, an analytic study on that. In the first 8 years of the designated hitter rule, they looked at what's called a moral hazard, where if you can engage in insurance companies use this, right? And the actuaries. And if you can engage in risky behavior without fear of consequence, the theory goes, you're more likely to engage in that risky behavior. And sure enough, they noticed that in those first 8 years, batters were more likely to get hit by 11 to 17%. So,
double-digit percentage. Double-digit percentage,
Which analytic study aside, that's kind of common sense. That's human nature. I mean, you know what I mean? If I'm not going to have to receive any consequences, I'm probably going to do something,
Right. But here's the other thing that's counterintuitive is people thought, well, it'll be better for hitters, but not, the offense. It'll be better for offense than defense. And sure enough, they started it because attendance was down and they wanted to do something to bring fans back into the ballpark. And sure enough, it did raise hits and number of runs and home runs, and most importantly, brought fans back into the game. Yeah. But it also, surprisingly, raised the number of pitchers who were completing games and winning 20 games because they weren't getting pinch hit for. And so there were 12 20-game winners in the American League in 1973, which was a record number.
Interesting.
Okay.
Wow. And that makes sense. My thing with the designated hitter rule was always, if you're going to do it, let's do it on both sides.
Yeah.
Like do it across the board.
Which they do now.
They do now, but then,
right. And so it did cause controversy, like in the World Series, of course, the American League pitchers had to bat, and they hadn't swung a bat all year. And so people were worried it was going to look pretty ugly.
That's when you say,
there were some surprises. I'll say that.
That's when you say, that's not our problem. Y'all are the wusses that don't want to bat.
John,
anyways, go ahead. Let's change the subject. Go ahead, John. Go ahead.
John, how do you think the state of the game is now?
Good question.
Well, it's interesting because we're talking about rule changes. And of course, there are the new rule changes coming into effect this year. And I personally don't mind the shift because I think it's a strategic move. And, it can cut down on runs and offense. But I think, they were doing this back with Ted Williams, actually Hank Aaron in 1973. He had a bad back, and so he had to adjust his swing and could only pull the ball. So teams shifted, and that, hurt his output. But I think I like the defensive shift for the strategic element. And that's, to me, baseball is a cerebral game, and so I like to see as much strategy as possible in it. But that said, I'll see how it plays out this year. The size of the bases being enlarged, it's kind of funny. They say it's going to be reduce the distance by 4.5 inches, and that's going to be enough to increase stolen bases. It seems like such a tiny amount, but we'll see, right?
Yeah.
And then
you have to run first, though.
That's true. But in order to get the pitch clock, I think will be the most interesting thing. I think once people adjust nobody's going to be complaining that games are going faster, because I'm so tired, as you guys probably are, the guys stepping out of the batter's box and adjusting both their batting gloves. It's like, come on, guys, play ball.
Yeah. Absolutely. You're right about that.
I went to Jupiter. I went to work. I worked down south and down in South Florida, and caught a game in Jupiter, Florida at Roger Dean Stadium. Tuesday it was, I believe, and pitch clock was working. It was nice. I prefer the pitch clock as it is, because
get in there and do your business and go on.
And honestly, if you get down to 5 seconds and the pitcher's he's eyeing the rubber, toeing the rubber, and getting ready to deliver, they shut the clock off. It's not like not like a shot clock with a horn, right. Or you
right, yeah, right. Or they just stop the action.
Exactly, right. Yeah, that's not it. I mean, the clock is there, and it's observed. I mean, both sides.
Yeah. I think what's interesting is they want to get the game time down to 2.5 hours, which is what it was in 1973. But even in 1973, at 2.5 hours, people were complaining the game was too long because it had been 2 hours, 20 years earlier.
Yeah. I'd like to see them go back to real dirt, dirt infield, man. Love it.
Yeah, I'm all for the dirt myself, and natural grass.
We'll be back with more of our Tailgate Talk conversation after this.
Limestone Drug, located on the square in downtown Athens, is your local Health Mart pharmacy. As your local Health Mart pharmacy, Limestone Drug is locally owned and has a personal commitment to the community. Limestone Drug honors prescription drug plans, including Medicare. They accept flex spending cards and fill prescriptions in minutes, not hours. Limestone Drug knows there's nothing more important than your family's well-being. So shop Limestone Drug at 200 West Market Street in Athens, your local Health Mart pharmacy. Limestone Drug, caring for you and about you.
Your roof is the first line of defense for your home. Do you have water stains on your ceiling, paint peeling off your walls, shingles missing? It's probably time for you to get your free roof inspection. Locally owned and operated, licensed, and insured, Yellowhammer Roofing is the Yellowhammer State Hometown Team. Yellowhammer Roofing. Let our family protect what's most important to you, your family. 256-232-1933 or online at yellowhammerroofing.com.
For screen printing, sign printing, banners, logo design, and more, look no further than That Shirt Printing Place. Located at 709 North Jefferson Street in Athens. Call 256-444-1827. That Shirt Printing Place. Visit them online at thatshirtprintingplacellc.com. Look for them on Facebook too. That Shirt Printing Place. 256-444-1927. That Shirt Printing Place.
School may be out, but you can still enter your nominations for the Applebee's Athlete of the Week over the summer for the upcoming school year. Just go to tailgatetalk.net and fill out the form. While you're there, check out the Tailgate Talk archives and see what you might have missed. That's the Applebee's Neighborhood Athlete of the Week. Enter your nominations today from Applebee's Neighborhood Grill, Tailgate Talk, and 1080 WKAC. We're back now with more of our conversation on the best of Tailgate Talk.
These 4-hour games, 3.5, 4-hour games, that's just too long. Because you got some kids, you got like I got little ones and they can't sit there that long.
Mm-mm. Right, no, that's true. But, I think one of the things causing excitement in 1973 was Hank Aaron chasing Babe Ruth and the number of home runs he was hitting. And he was, he needed 41 that season to tie 714. And he got off at a torrid pace, and he hit 700, and everybody was just really excited. And then what a lot of people today probably don't realize is, there's obviously people understand the pressure of trying to produce home runs. I mean, we watch it with Aaron Judge. We've seen it with others. But the thing that Hank Aaron had to deal with was that summer he was getting more hate mail, or he was getting more mail than anybody in the country but President Nixon, and a lot of it was hate mail, and there were these ugly racial epithets. There were threats on his life, on his children's lives, and so he had a policeman assigned to him as a bodyguard. There were guys in the stands looking around, trying to make sure nobody had a gun, and that wasn't an unrealistic fear, because just the year earlier in the 72 World Series, a guy was arrested with a gun inside the stadium. So Hank Aaron lived under incredible pressure and fear that year, and at the same time he bore it with a grace and dignity that I think makes him a hero for all time. And so in my book, he's the all-time home run king.
Oh, yes.
I think he is in just about anybody. Maybe not a 25-year-old, person, but anybody who's been around, absolutely, yes. And always will be.
Right. Yeah. So that's part of the story I tell and unravel in this book, along with George Steinbrenner, which, he bought the team and he said, I'm going to stick to building ships. Well, before spring training was over, he'd given the manager a list of guys who needed haircuts. and he had given guys raises and made them the highest paid team in the league. And that was before the season even started. And then, of course, he continued to meddle so much during the season that Ralph Houk quit. The manager quit at the end of the year because he just couldn't handle it. And then, of course, everybody knows the saga that unfolded with Billy Martin and George Steinbrenner. So he just couldn't stay away and keep from meddling with the team.
So I was going to say, so it looks like that the first manager wasn't the only manager or Billy Martin wasn't the only manager that had problems with him.
Nope.
Well, exactly. And actually, before, also early on, not just the manager quit, but his major partner was forced out, Mike Burke. And Lee McPhail, the general manager.
Oh, I did not.
Quit.
I don't remember that. Well, of course, I was 8, but I mean, through the years, I've read about stuff. And,
Todd, what's wrong with you, man?
I know, but no, I've read enough. I should remember that. Yeah. That's interesting. I didn't know that.
Now, didn't he buy the team? I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. I'm sorry.
The boss was not the dream boss. Everybody hated the boss.
Now, didn't he buy the team from CBS? Didn't CBS own the Yankees?
Right. CBS had bought the team in '64 for something like $13 million and change, and Steinbrenner got it for $10 million. So they ran the team at a loss, and not only were they losing games, they were losing money. So Steinbrenner bought the team for $10 million. Bargain basement price. I heard today they're worth something like $7 billion.
Yeah.
So wouldn't you have loved to have gotten in on that deal, like buying Apple stock when it was first issued?
No kidding.
Exactly.
Because I remember my dad's a huge Yankee fan, and one of his friends, they are the only ones that had TVs at the time, and they could watch Yankee games on CBS, and he said that was the best time of his life, getting to watch Mickey Mantle play ball.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah,
those were the glory days with Mickey Mantle, but they had fallen on hard times after that.
Yeah, he did, and I hate that because he was such a good ball player.
Well, John, I'm looking down the list of your other books, and this is not the only baseball book you've put out there.
No, I also did a biography of Hank Greenberg, who was a Hall of Fame player in the 30s and 40s, but most significantly was a Jewish ball player who brought hope to the Jewish people during a time of intense anti-Semitism, around leading up to and through World War II. And I did a book on Juan Marshall and John Roseboro, who had the famous fight where Marshall clubbed Roseboro over the head with his bat.
Dang!
Wow.
That kept Marshall out of the Hall of Fame, but then the two surprisingly reconciled and became friends. And so I tell that story in the fight of their lives. And then last year, a collection of my baseball articles came out called Classic Baseball. And it has stories about, some heroes like Hank Aaron and others, but it also has stories about lesser knowns, like a guy here in Minnesota, a utility infielder with a cult following called La Tortuga. So that's a fun book, too.
Tortuga, that's an island, isn't it? Or
It's means turtle in Spanish.
Oh, it means
he's
turtle.
A Venezuelan. He's a Venezuelan who earned his nickname
because he run like a turtle.
Right.
That's funny.
Now, John, did I read this? Were one of the Braves criticized for sitting Hank Aaron in that Cincinnati series because they knew he was coming home, could have break the record at home? Didn't the Braves take some heat for that, for sitting him in that last game in Cincinnati?
Yeah, he stalled the 1973 season at 713, so he didn't quite get there. Hit 40 home runs, but he needed 41 to tie. So long, cold winter for him, but when he came back, he pretty quickly, in that first series against Cincinnati, hit number 714. And then they waited till they got back to Atlanta for him to hit 715.
Against Al Downing.
Al Downing, yeah.
Yeah.
and those L.A. Dodgers. I can still remember watching that.
Oh, yeah.
Man.
Kurt I remember seeing that on
Kurt
TV.
Gowdy. Hey, and that's probably outside of Keith Jackson, Kurt Gowdy been the best. But Kurt Gowdy would have been the best one to call him baseball anyway. So.
Yeah. Although, there's a YouTube video with Vin Scully, saying that a black man in the deep South the fans are cheering for a black man in the deep South. It's just it's chilling to hear his call.
It is. I'm glad you said that.
And then the two guys that followed him around the bases, he became friend with them.
Did he really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, I'm sure in that moment, that'd be scary because, all these threats against him and stuff, and you don't know if somebody is going to, what they're doing, what their intentions are. Of course, they were just happy, But.
Exactly. Yeah, they're there to celebrate, but when you see him running around, he's not too happy to have him along for the ride.
No, he is not.
It was a little bit easier to make it onto the field.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Well, they talk. I talk about that in this book during the 73 season. There were several times when fans would come onto the field kind of prematurely to celebrate, when they thought the team was going to win, especially at Chase Stadium or in the Oakland Coliseum. They would jump onto the field and the police had to, go chase them away. There was one fan who ran up first, grabbed Reggie Jackson's hat. In Oakland, grabbed his hat during the World Series, and starts running away. Reggie drops his glove, gives chase, and then a woman comes and grabs his glove and runs away with it.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, can you imagine that happening today?
Then this is way before Morgana.
And I was going to say Kissing Bandit was the first one that popped into my head there.
Hey, way off.
Yeah, the Kissing Bandit.
I'd forgotten all about that.
Way off subject, but I saw where you did a retweet from the Tigers history where Mark the Bird Fidrich was on the cover of Rolling Stone.
Yeah.
The only baseball player to ever be on Rolling Stone. But and it had to be around this time because I was around 10, 11, or 12, and I'd have been 12 at this time. But he actually got hurt, and my great-grandmother, and she didn't know who Mark the Bird Fidrich was, but carried me to see the Evansville Triplets play. I'm from Evansville, Indiana originally, and we were there visiting.
Although
and I got to see he was there. Yeah, well, no, it does not sound like it. But Mark was down AAA. It was AAA ball, and he was down rehabbing an injury, and I got to see him pitch. And that place was, I just can barely remember, but I remember it being packed, and everybody just coming to see him. We've had so many great players come through the years, and in our minds growing up, I mean, the game's changed so much, right? You don't steal bases anymore. You don't, hit and run. All those kind of strategic things. Right? Small ball's out. But I don't know. Baseball was just so much more fun to me in the 70s and 80s. I don't know.
Right.
What are your thoughts?
Well, I think there's something, too, about nostalgia and the way it figures into our perception of sports, because I think there's a time in a boy's life between when he learns to read a box score and he discovers girls, that sports are magical. That's the golden era of sports, I think, in our memory of when we could understand the game, we were consumed by it, maybe collecting baseball cards, following it, listening to it on the radio. That was the golden era of sports, I think, for most of us, regardless of when that occurred.
John, that should have been a line in the movie Sandlot. There comes a time in a boy's life when he learns to read a box score. Right before Squints kisses Wendy on the mouth.
That would have been a great line.
That would have been a great line to put in that movie right there.
Right. His sports fandom ends at that moment.
You bring up a great point, though.
Exactly.
Well, tell everybody.
And so I think.
Oh, go ahead.
Well, sorry, I just think it's natural for us to, kind of look back on those days and think that's when the sports were best.
Yeah.
And for me, I turned 9 the summer of 73, and so I was looking for a season when, all these important events occurred, and that changed the game significantly, and it happened in 73. But I think I also loved writing about it so much and researching about it so much because I remembered it so fondly as a time from my youth.
That's good. Go ahead, Tim.
Well, I was going to say, tell everybody how they can get this book or some of your other ones.
Well, they're on Amazon. They're on IndieBound. If you want to support independent booksellers, that's INDIE, Bound, IndieBound. And then, people can ask for them at their library. And if they don't have it at the library, ask them to order it. And a lot of times libraries will. So many ways for people to find it.
I think that's the first time I've ever...
local bricks and mortar stores, too, of course. They can find it there at Barnes & Noble and others.
That's the first time I've ever heard an author say, look at your library. It should be there. So kudos, bud. Kudos to that.
Well, I'm a big fan of libraries. They're important to democracy in our communities.
Exactly. Yes, that's the truth. That's the truth. Well, brother, thank you so much, John.
Thanks, John.
Ladies and gentlemen, John Rosengren, with author of the book, The Greatest Summer in Baseball History, How the 73 Season Changed Us Forever. Thanks for your time, my friend. We appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me on. Enjoyed it.
Yes, sir.
Take care.
Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
And ladies and gentlemen, it's time to take a quick break. You're listening to Applebee's Tailgate Talk on WKAC, the Big 1080.
Real estate, real easy. That's the motto at Innovative Realty Solutions, and providing the highest quality real estate services is their mission. With sound real estate advice, the latest information, and a skilled analysis of the real estate market, Innovative Realty Solutions offers a better home buying and selling experience with a fair, ethical, and, yes, innovative process. Innovative Realty Solutions. Visit them on Facebook, online at innovativerealtysolutions.com, at 100 North Clinton Street in Athens, or call 230-5950. Innovative Realty Solutions. Real estate, real easy.
Ardmore Telephone Company has been operating right here in your community since the 1950s. Over the years, we've brought you advanced communication services such as telephone, high-speed internet, and security systems. And going forward, we'll be right here ready to provide you with innovative services and the high level of customer service you've come to expect. At Ardmore Telephone, our proof is the test of time, running decades deep. We're Ardmore Telephone, and we are here to stay. For more details, call 1-800-830-9946 or visit ardmore.net.
P4 Physical Therapy is a new outpatient provider offering community-based care with a unique partnership model that allows them to consistently deliver world-class outpatient care, emphasizing personalized hands-on treatment. Whether it's orthopedic, physical, geriatric, or manual therapy, sports or neuro rehab, telehealth, or most any type of muscle or joint pain, P4 Physical Therapy promises to treat you with integrity, compassion, faithfulness, and selflessness. Locations in Athens, Huntsville, and Winfield, Alabama, as well as Fayetteville and Knoxville, Tennessee. Look for them on Facebook or online at p4physicaltherapy.com. When things go wrong, State Farm is here to help life go right. And Agent Michael Howell is the one who can help get things back on track. See Michael for your auto, home, life, health, property, and business insurance, and be ready for those unexpected twists that life throws at you. Ask about banking and annuities, too. Call State Farm Agent Michael Howell at 232-5400. Visit him online at michaelhowell.net or go see him at 903 South Clinton Street in Athens. State Farm Agent Michael Howell. There when things go wrong, here to help life go right. Come see all your friends at Applebee's in Athens. 12 minutes guaranteed or it's free Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7 items to choose from. Can't make it for lunch? Visit them for happy hour, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. or late night. Half-price appetizers with beverage purchase, 6 appetizers to choose from. Call 233-4430 or order online at applebees.com and pick your meal up with Carside to go. Applebee's Neighborhood Grill, Highway 72 in Athens, just off I-65. Eating good in the neighborhood. Keep up with local school, travel, youth, and amateur sports throughout the week with a Play Action Sports Update. Listen weekday mornings at 7:30 and weekday afternoons at 1:30 and 3:30 as we bring you the latest scores, news, and announcements from Limestone County and surrounding communities. That's the Play Action Sports Update 3 times a day, Monday through Friday on 1080 WKAC. You're listening to the best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
Ladies and gentlemen, from born in Riverside, California, Mr. Tyree Washington, world-class sprinter. Tyree, welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Hey,
he was having to do some running of his own around the house. So
I'm going to tell you what our co-host Todd. This is Tom, by the way. I want to tell you what our co-host Todd just said while we were calling you. He said he issued a challenge last week for you on the. He said he'd smoke you on the 40. And I'm like, dude, you ain't gonna be doing nothing but standing there smoking as he's running past you in the 40.
Which I don't smoke.
Yeah, I think that's a bad deal right there. I wouldn't want that one.
I was just joking, Tyler. I told him, I said, well, maybe he was intimidated by my speed after that conversation that we did not have. But
you have to see Todd.
Yeah, you'd have to see me. I'm as wide as I am tall, so I'm not being. You would be at the 40 when I'm crossing the 5-yard line. So there we go.
We could roll him down the.
Yeah,
Tyree. Last night we had an announcer was in the booth, the press box, and we were calling a high school football game, and the announcer was really fast when he played high school football.
Yeah.
So Todd challenged him to a 2-yard dash. They're going to start at the goal line and end at the 2.
I done got old, Tyree. I can't move no more, man.
And the body ain't where it used to be.
Tell me, man, when he gets 50, his parts start falling off.
So listen, before we get into the track conversation, which obviously, man, having that title, fastest man in the world, which I can't even imagine how great that felt. Tell us real quick about, you signed with the Chargers and got hurt in camp, and went to Oakland, and maybe how that transition was. Like, did you play high school football? You didn't play any college football, correct?
No, I actually played. I'm going to talk about this in my autobiography. But
okay.
A snapshot about it, but yeah, I went to Lofter High School out in Riverside, California. Played all 4 years and was an all-state cornerback, and then I was heavily recruited. All over the country. I played cornerback and free safety, and so everybody wanted me. But I signed with University of Oregon because I had a really good friend, Pat Johnson, who played wide receiver at University of Oregon. He went on to Baltimore, won the Super Bowl. And so, but I have some academic issues, and so they're like, hey, why don't you go to junior college and then come back? But I got really antsy, and I started traveling all over the country, and then my scholarship was gone, and then I went to Riverside Community College in my hometown, and I played 4 games, and then I left there because I was like, hey, I was kind of feeling it, and then I went across town to San Bernardino Valley College, and I started to run track, but that was back in 1997. I was at Seminole Valley, but then in 1999, that's when I decided that even though I was excelling in track and field, I'm going to go back and play. I want to go play football in the NFL. So I hired an agent. Worked out with the Arizona Cardinals, New York Giants, Green Bay Packers, Chargers, Raiders, and so I ended up signing with the Chargers because it was close to home. And my son he was probably around like 3 years old at the time. And so I wanted to be close to him. But then during camp, I got injured and I got released. I didn't think I was going to get released, but you know how that goes. And so we one injury away. And then I got signed with Oakland. But at the time, people don't realize that I was actually still running professional track and playing professional football.
Wow.
I was doing both. And so I decided, hey, I'm just going to go back and run, and then I'll just come back to the NFL. And then I was going to go work out for the Cowboys in 2007, but then they said I was suffering from paralysis on my right side.
Oh, wow.
Because I got hit so much. And so yes, I can go into so much in depth about that, but for the most part, there's a whole other story within that. So yeah, that's the story as far as like my football career. But I mean, I've been playing football ever since I was yay high and from my Pop Warner days. And back in Riverside, California, we had an organization that was called Riverside Junior Tackle Football League. So,
it is awesome. So my next question is going to be, and I know this is going to sound weird, and I've never been around world class track athletes, but I have been around some college. And when y'all are running at that speed, it almost looks like y'all are floating. I mean, honestly. What does it feel like, honestly, to be able to run that fast? I mean, can you describe it?
You said it best. It's like you're floating on air. Everything is just moving. Everything is so synchronized. I mean, it's flowing. It's everything. Your legs, your arms. I mean, your shoulders, your head. I mean, everything is like just in complete relaxed state. And I honestly feel like it's like I'm just like your stride is opening up, so you're covering all the ground like a cheetah. And it's like you're hitting this maximum speed for a short period of time. But it's just that rush. I mean, it's almost like, I don't know if you've been in a Maserati or any fast car, a Lamborghini. I mean, you step on that accelerator and you just take off. I mean, it feels like that, but it's just effortless. And that's what I love about. That's what I always loved about just sprinting, is that once you understand how to run and the mechanics are proper, and you learn how to relax. It's just, you can go from, running, you could be running up to like 28, 25, 20 miles per hour top speed.
That is amazing. I mean, it is.
And you're talking about the mechanics and learning how to run. It's not just running, getting out there and running fast. You've got to have the form, because, all these guys, they just look like they're just running in a straight line. Their heads aren't bouncing. They're just like a blur.
Yeah, well, my event was 400 meters, so I ran some 100 meters here and there, but my coach decided he wanted to get some speed work in. But for the most part, I'm going around that oval, and it's just like you're breaking that 400 up in segments. And you think about it, you put it in perspective, is that you're running over 4 football fields.
Yeah.
You're sprinting over 4 football fields, and it's like at 300 meters. That body is it's tapped, and it's like that monkey jumps on the back end, and you have to rely on your form, you have to rely on your relaxation, but people, they always look at the aftermath of that, when you run the fast times, and when you're on the podium getting that gold medal, and you become that fast. I became the fastest man in the world, but they don't look at just the backstory of it, as far as like the fall program and the base training and running in the rain and the training heat and running 400 repeats on the hill and doing 500 repeats in the weight training and just in and out of the hospital. You're putting your muscle in. And with me, I have asthma. I've had it my whole life.
Wow. That's even more impressive.
I was going to bring that up later,
Yeah, so it only took my life twice, and I have a team of doctors back in California. Dr. Maes, who's been treating me for over 20 years, and so it's just control. But once everything comes together, it's like you just put all the ingredients in, like you're baking that cake, and you become that complete athlete.
Back with more of our Tailgate Talk conversation after this.
From day one, First National Bank has been built on a strong foundation of community first. First to lend a helping hand, first to help with community events and fundraisers, first to support local students, athletic programs, and civic organizations, first to support events like United Way, Relay for Life, and many more charitable events, and most importantly, working for our great community. Without you, there'd be no First National Bank. Making communities great together, that's what we strive for.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Daly & Son Car Care is Ardmore's only one-stop auto repair and tire shop. Whether it's major mechanic or brake work or routine maintenance like an oil change or lube job, Daly & Son Car Care has been satisfying customers all over with their fast and friendly service. They're also your headquarters for quality Cooper tires. Stop by and see Wayne, Nikki, or Dale at 25600 Main Street in Ardmore, Tennessee, or call them at 931-427-4651. They're on Facebook, too. Daly & Son Car Care, open Monday through Friday, 7:30 till 5, and Saturday, 7:30 till noon.
Limestone Drug, located on the square in downtown Athens, is your local Health Mart pharmacy. As your local Health Mart pharmacy, Limestone Drug is locally owned and has a personal commitment to the community. Limestone Drug honors prescription drug plans, including Medicare. They accept flex spending cards and fill prescriptions in minutes, not hours. Limestone Drug knows there's nothing more important than your family's well-being. So shop Limestone Drug at 200 West Market Street in Athens, your local Health Mart pharmacy. Limestone Drug, caring for you and about you.
Your roof is the first line of defense for your home. Do you have water stains on your ceiling, paint peeling off your walls, shingles missing? It's probably time for you to get your free roof inspection. Locally owned and operated, licensed, and insured, Yellowhammer Roofing is the Yellowhammer State hometown team. Yellowhammer Roofing. Let our family protect what's most important to you, your family. 256-232-1933 or online at yellowhammerroofing.com.
When you're looking for something special for your next event, why not bring in the most amazingly fine flavored shaved ice this side of the islands, Kona Ice of Decatur and Athens. Whether it's a school or major sporting event, a picnic, or a festival, Kona Ice brings the fun and laughter. From their steel drum music to their signature flavor wave, where guests can flavor their own shaved ice. No event is too big or too small. Kona Ice makes fundraising easy too. Call Kona Ice today and tell them what you have in mind. 256-566-5298. Or look for them on your favorite social media platform. Kona Ice of Decatur in Athens. 256-566-5298. Keep up with Athens and Limestone County sports with a Play Action Sports Report. Look for it every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform. The Play Action Sports Report. Scores, interviews, highlights, and more from school, youth, and amateur sports in Athens and Limestone County. The Play Action Sports Report every Wednesday on your favorite podcast platform or online at pasnetwork.net. We continue with our conversation on the Best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
Yeah. So you brought up the asthma. I was going to bring it up later. So did you ever have, during any meets, any asthma attacks, and did it ever knock you out of any meets?
Yeah, I was particularly. I mean, I was actually at a meeting on in Japan, and I caught it. When I catch a cold or I catch a flu, it's like 2 or 3 times worse than someone that is just. I mean, they don't have asthma, and I remember I was telling my agent, I said, I usually if I'm sick, I make a go at it. I mean, I don't back down. But I was so tired, and I felt so winded just in my warm up, and I was telling my agent, I said, I don't think I'm gonna be able to go today, and she was saying, you sure tired too? And I said, yeah, I know it's kind of tight. She said, well, hey, get in the race to see how it goes. And I was like, hey, I'll do that. But when I got in the race, like I started breathing heavily, and I felt like my wind just kind of started to diminish, and I got really tired. And I thought I was going to black out, but and I hit when I got to 200 meters, and I was like, I better stop because I think I'm going to pass out. And I said, screw it, I'm going to keep going. And I finished the race, and I think I got 4th. You know, literally, I was pretty much, my breathing, my air capacity was almost gone. Like, literally, it was just almost gone.
My son has asthma, and he ran cross country in high school.
That's impressive. That's extremely impressive.
I mean, he would run with his inhaler, in case he had to, take a whiff along the way. And there were times when he did, but.
So yeah, it's tough. It's like with asthma. I mean, a lot of it is just you make sure you control it, but also it's mental. And one thing that my mother and my grandmother made sure that they sort of I never looked at having asthma as like a handicap, like it was a medical issue that was going to prevent me from being physical and doing physical education and whatnot. And so they said, hey, this is something that you're going to have to just deal with, and you can control it. You're going to get out there, and you're going to have to just work maybe 3 or 4 times harder than anybody else if you want to be the best. And so that's what I did. And so I was literally, my trips like back and forth to the hospital. I mean, wow. And I'm going to talk about this in my book. When I look back on my journey, I think about I thank God that it was like I could have checked out so many times from just having an asthma attack, but I kept bouncing back. And it just wasn't my time.
Yeah. Well, Tyree, before we get into talking about your book, which we want you to promote very well for us, but tell us the most memorable race, the biggest victory that you've got. Who you guys have rivals? Who's maybe one of the most satisfying wins you've got in your racing career?
Well, I think my first when I went to San Marino Valley back in 1997, and Blackman Heem was the coach at the time. And when he approached me, he was recruiting me all through high school. And he said, "Hey, you're a great football player, but he said you could be even greater track and field athlete. You can be the best 400-meter runner on planet Earth." And I kind of laughed at him, but I said, "Hey, I'm gonna give this guy a try." And so within 7 months, he literally turned me and went to the best quarter milers in the world. And so he said the quarter miler that was better than everybody on the planet, and that dominated the 1996 Olympics was Michael Johnson in the 400 meters. Yeah. And he had broke the world record of 200, was a gold medalist in the 400 and the 4x4. So he said, your first race, you're going to beat him. So in Paris, France, 1997, I beat Michael Johnson, and I remember it was like around 40-something degrees, pouring rain, and my toes froze up and my spikes, and I was just like, man, this is crazy. Man. I came out of the second bend, and Mike tightened up, and I kept going, and it was just like, and I got that W. But for me, it was that feeling of, it's like kind of David and Goliath, like it's taking out Goliath, but me and Michael had so many memorable races throughout that year and throughout my career, and I'm always grateful for him, and because he's a phenomenal athlete. He's extraordinary what he's done, and it was just like that. Muhammad Ali and Joe Frazier were just constantly just going at it.
That's great. Well, go ahead, Tim.
Well, you mentioned your journey a while ago, and your present could be a lot different had you taken a different route.
Yeah.
Growing up.
Yeah, it could have been. I mean, I think, like, you know, a lot of times when you come into the world, you don't know what cards you're going to get dealt. And you don't know who's going to be your mom, who's going to be your dad, and the type of environment you're going to be in. And my environment was very tough because my mother, my grandmother raised me. I met my father when I was like 20 years old. He was involved in gangs, and then he just passed away. So I really didn't get to know him, and he wasn't a part of my life at all. And I mean, I'm so grateful to God because I had surrogate coaches and team moms, surrogate, like my football coaches, like my surrogate fathers, the team moms, my surrogate mothers. And so everybody came together and really nurtured me and guided me, along with my mom and my grandmother, to build me up, to put me in a position to where I was going to be successful. But so many of my friends growing up, so many of my friends passed away. I mean, I had two passed away like the last couple months, and so it's just when I look back, I'm like, man, I could have easily been one of those. So one of my so-called, my buddies or homeboys, whatever, back in the day, because there was a time that I got involved in the gang scene because I was just very naive and I was looking for that father figure, and I wanted to feel accepted, but when they started dropping like flies, man, I was just like, I said, I can't do this anymore. And then I think athletics really helped me a lot to really prevail and to progress and to reach my full potential in life. And so, yes, I could have went another direction, and I could have just been engulfed in my environment and all the negativity and the rage and the disappointment and frustration, but I decided to not do that. I made the choice that I wanted to be able to get my life right, and I want to be better, and I want to be able to help people when I get that, when I make it. And so I'm just grateful. I'm grateful because it could have went either way. You're 100% right. Very quickly. I could have been dead. I could have been in prison. I could have been on the streets.
I'm reading a little article here written about you and talking about you not being done with the world of sports. You established Killeroy to educate young people on the dangers of such drugs. Are you still involved with that, or am I reading the correct article? Or
I started Killeroy years ago, and when I lost 4 gold medals in my world record because 2 of my teammates were doping. They had Jerome and Antonio Pettigrew, and Antonio Pettigrew committed suicide. And
oh wow!
And so at the time, I'm thinking like, okay, what am I going to do? Like, this is a bad situation. They're taking my medals. They're taking my world record. And so me, the type of person I am, I'm like, hey, I'm going to turn this bad situation into something great. And so I established Killeroy, and I went out to educate athletes about performance enhancing drugs and making sure they were training on a clean platform. But I since got rid of Killeroy, and so I'm kind of rebranding it because I want to be able to broaden my message with just drugs in general. Because back in 2002, I was in law enforcement. I worked for the probation department, working with the youth, and so there's so many drugs that kids deal with on a daily basis besides the steroids, and so I want to be able to talk more about that.
All right, tell us how we can get your autobiography, bud.
Yeah, so my autobiography, so we're finished. I mean, I've been working. The fifth chapter is coming up, so hopefully everything goes right. And we're looking to finish it at the end of this year, in a couple of months, and then it should be YouTube and hopefully before July. And I really encourage everybody to get it because I think it's going to be a great book. It's going to be able to encourage. It's going to be able to encourage and motivate everybody from like all walks of life. It doesn't really matter where you come from. If you've been brought up in a disadvantaged area, if like you come from a very well-known family, you want to tell your race, your religion. It doesn't really matter because everybody needs encouragement, everybody needs motivation, and that's what it's going to give. And that's what it's going to give everybody. It's going to show people how I went through so many things in my life, and I overcame those things. And anybody can do the same thing if they just keep taking their steps forward.
That's great.
We'll have to get you back on.
When the book comes out, we definitely need to get you back on. And Todd says that challenge still stands. He still thinks he can smoke you on that 40-yard line.
Don't come to Athens, Alabama, brother. Don't come. You don't want to get embarrassed.
Hey, what I'm gonna do for you, I'm gonna be in my 3-piece suit, okay? My nice dress shoes, all right?
Don't rub it in, man. I mean, jeez.
Oh well.
And I'll be restricted a little bit, but I'm gonna get a little bit of advantage.
Man, if you gave me 30 yards, it wouldn't be enough. So, but appreciate that.
Tyree,
awesome.
Definitely come back when you get your book out, bud. We want to talk about it, promote it, and And best wishes and best of luck to you, buddy.
Yeah, man.
Thanks for coming on the show.
Thank you guys both. I appreciate you guys both.
Great interview. Thanks.
Take care.
Bye-bye. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Tyree Washington, formerly fastest man on
in
the
the
planet.
world.
In the
Can you
world.
imagine having that title?
Man, I know, right? That's awesome.
I mean, I don't have a title of nothing.
You're Todd the Bod, dude.
Well, yeah. That's it. Okay.
It's time to take a quick break before we fall out laughing here. Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to Applebee's Tailgate Talk. We'll be right back.
Ardmore Telephone Company has been operating right here in your community since the 1950s. Over the years, we've brought you advanced communication services such as telephone, high-speed internet, and security systems. And going forward, we'll be right here ready to provide you with innovative services and the high level of customer service you've come to expect. At Ardmore Telephone, our proof is the test of time, running decades deep. We're Ardmore Telephone, and we are here to stay. For more details, call 1-800-830-9946 or visit ardmore.net.
Real estate, real easy. That's the motto at Innovative Realty Solutions, and providing the highest quality real estate services is their mission. With sound real estate advice, the latest information, and a skilled analysis of the real estate market, Innovative Realty Solutions offers a better home buying and selling experience with a fair, ethical, and, yes, innovative process. Innovative Realty Solutions. Visit them on Facebook, online at innovativerealtysolutions.com, at 100 North Clinton Street in Athens, or call 230-5950. Innovative Realty Solutions. Real estate, real easy. When things go wrong, State Farm is here to help life go right. And Agent Michael Howell is the one who can help get things back on track. See Michael for your auto, home, life, health, property, and business insurance, and be ready for those unexpected twists that life throws at you. Ask about banking and annuities, too. Call State Farm Agent Michael Howell at 232-5400. Visit him online at michaelhowell.net or go see him at 903 South Clinton Street in Athens. State Farm Agent Michael Howell. There when things go wrong, here to help life go right. Now on a platform near you, the only year-round weekly podcast covering the Huntsville Havoc, the Wreakin' Havoc Podcast. News, interviews, and more. Dropping every Thursday, we'll just reek of the Huntsville Havoc. Check us out on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and listen, follow, and subscribe on your favorite platform via the PAS Plus app and online at wreakinhavoc.com. You're listening to the best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
Welcome back to Applebee's Tailgate Talk on WKAC, the Big 1080. Now we've got an unusual opportunity here for everybody who's out there listening. We've got Coach Conley Duncan live in studio, so you can call us if you have a question for Coach Duncan. Whether it may be an experience with Bear Bryant or something Coach Dye said to you one day when he was raving praises, heaping praises on you.
You might have to censor the Coach Dye comments, especially when he was dealing with me at that time.
That's area code 256-812-1848 or area code 256-812-1TGT. Coach Duncan, welcome to the Applebee's Tailgate Talk. It's an honor to have you.
Well, I appreciate it. I can't tell you how happy I am to be here. I got my wife's to-do list this morning from changing out all the lights outside and cleaning out the gutters before it rains and going to the mall. I could stay with you guys for several hours if you want me to.
You're welcome to stay.
We're
here to 12 o'clock.
We're here to 12 o'clock, Coach.
All right, that's great. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Now, I originally met you back in 2006, 2007, when you were doing the Nike Spark training, SPARQ for those who don't know.
Correct.
And this is a nationwide points collection for how high they jump, how fast they run. Can you explain that a little?
Yeah, Nike sees the opportunity to really captivate early on when a lot of outside independent training was going on for speed and agility, and of course that fit real well within their marketing scheme of the shoes and the gear and things of that nature. And it's a program that they put together with a lot of good sponsors and good athletes to really hone in on a combine type of evaluation. And so they've done thousands and thousands and thousands of tests across the country in all sports. So it allows us to really have a kind of a quantitative norm as to where you fit in among all your other peers, your 16-year-old, running back, can be compared to a lot of other running backs across the country. And it's a spinoff of the NFL Combine. I worked the NFL Combine for about 23 years. Wow. And it's the same concept here of trying to have some objectivity regarding numbers, vertical jump, 5-10-5 shuttle run, 40-yard sprint, things of that nature here that pertains to individual sports, basketball, soccer, football, baseball, things of that nature. So they created that Spark program, and of course it's done quite well. And I'm fortunate to be a part of Nike Spark.
Now, are you still over at Point Mallard?
I am. I do a lot of most of my training is out at Point Mallard in Decatur. Usually, sometimes during the summer and sometimes during the regular year, I'll do a team training program. I've done a lot of Oak Park soccer programs where I do the conditioning and speed and agility for them early on. But so I'll do it during the school year. But mostly it's all individuals from multiple schools. So I'm really not locked into one particular school. With Cybex, we've tested from the Reggie Bushes to the Deion Sanders, and what we're doing with the Cybex machine back then was doing some objective testing on muscular strength and looking at balances and imbalances, which can deal with a better opportunity to stay healthy, or are you coming back from a knee surgery in here? Where are you right now? Am I going to invest millions of dollars in the first round if you're 30% deficit or 70% deficit from a knee injury? So it just gives them a piece of the overall puzzle in terms of how they make their evaluation. You just would not believe the extent of the evaluation that they do at the NFL Combine, from not only just the drills itself and the times and things of that nature, but, they know when you had your toenail cut off in the 7th grade. They have information on that. And
wow.
It's kind of odd because they put them in their and they're down in their shorts and they stand on this big table and all these doctors are around them with all these x-rays and reports, and they look through just about every joint and muscle in your body and every orifice, and they do a pretty thorough examination. Yeah. Sometimes it's a little intimidating. Maybe I don't want to, but that $1 million contract there, you can you can check out my elbow if you want to.
I want to go back a little bit, Conley. We'll go back to your where you played high school and who recruited you to University of Alabama, and how was it like playing for Coach Bryant?
Wow, that's a lot. I played at Hartselle High School. Back then it was Morgan County High School. We were a 3A school out of 4 divisions, and we played the Huntsville schools and Florence schools, and Athens and Decatur and Coleman was always our big rivalry, and had pretty good success. Had some good players and some good teams. Very tough competition. Jack Rutledge was my recruiting guy from the University of Alabama, and does a thorough job, realizing that my mom was from New Orleans, so he would take us always out to the Shangri-La restaurant in Decatur, which specialized in oyster stew and things of that nature. And so, he did his homework well, and we'd get red beans and rice shipped to us quite often. And so it was all the little things back then that you could do. They knew my pastor, they knew my high school coaches, obviously, but they knew my counselors and everything else like that, because of the amount of recruiting time and the information that they could afford to do back then, where they can't do it now with the NCAA rules. You can only talk to them so many times, and you can only text so many letters, and all this stuff. So recruiting has changed immensely a lot, but that was a place for me, and I'm glad I signed with Alabama, and it turned out to be a good, successful program for me to play in, and got a good education as well.
You talked about when you went down there, you were behind. You were debating whether, because you played fullback and linebacker. Mm-hmm. So for those who wasn't here listening to the conversation, tell us your reasoning for remaining at linebacker.
Well, everybody's out there. You're all everything here from Alabama's perspective, and they put me behind a guy named Woodrow Lowe on the depth chart the first day, and I said,
"I'm sorry, who is? I've never heard of Woodrow Lowe."
Well,
I'd say that tongue in cheek.
Yeah, I know he's in my era, but I've seen a lot of great linebackers come through Alabama, but he may be the very best linebacker I've ever seen at Alabama. Wasn't a really big guy, about my size, a little over 6 foot, and about 215, 220, but he could play, and. So I figured out real quick who he was, and he beat a guy named Jim Croft, which was an all-conference offensive guard, on a 3-on-3 drill for like 4 straight times. Dude Hennessy had that hat turned around, the offensive line coach, and screaming and hollering, and just a phenomenal athlete. So, well, maybe I need to go back to fullback here, And I looked over there, and there was a guy named Johnny Davis from Montgomery, and said, well, they're only playing one fullback and they're playing 3 linebackers. I better stick it out. So, I survived 2 years of learning and getting beat up pretty good, and finally figured it out in the last couple of years. I had pretty good playing time.
What do you think, Conley, about y'all had great runs when you were at Alabama. What do you think about this run Coach Saban is being on since he's been down there?
Well, it's phenomenal what they've done, considering, we signed 40 kids every year. So we had second stringers that could have made just about anywhere else, all SEC conference type players. So we had a lot of depth back then, but it's just a phenomenal thing that Coach Saban has put together here in these last 7 or 8 years, at the University of Alabama. But as you mentioned here, that architect of really what Alabama is today, football program-wise, that architect was created some 40, 45 years ago with Coach Bryant.
That's right.
The level of detail in the organizations and the process, we didn't use the process term back then, but it's the same thing. And, I know my first day of practice, we were so excited, but the only thing we did was learn how to get in and out of the huddle the right way, everybody the right way. And so it was that level of detail that Coach Bryant brought to Alabama, and his ability to really not just make good football players, but make good men and good husbands. And, we're all grateful for that. But that program, that foundation has been there for about 40, 45 years now. We've had some kinks in the road where, we had some coaches that couldn't execute that. So you have to be a very special guy, like a Coach Bryant, and obviously Nick Saban is in that same mold, and he's taken it up into the new echelon now, the 2010 and beyond, where it was in the 1970s. But it's very similar in style and coaching philosophy, and he was hard-nosed and tough, but he put his arm around you and love on you just as well. And, Coach Bryant tell you to run through that wall, and we might think the old man's pretty crazy, but we'd never say that. We'd just line up and start heading to that wall, I guess, So, it's a different breed of cat now, athlete-wise. And but the foundation and the architect was in place a long time ago. And I'm sure Coach Saban has learned from a lot of what Coach Bryant brought to the program and to college football. And, he's been under Belichick and several other good ones. So just done a remarkable job and have won a significant amount of championships. And, we were fortunate. We had one SEC. We had one national championship in '73. But we also still have the record today of 5 straight SEC championships.
Yeah.
That goes through 71 through 75. And, we're still proud of that. And I was there for 4 of them. I didn't get redshirted, so I went right through. But, I got 4 SEC championships and 1 national championship and a lot of good memories. A lot of good memories.
Back with more of our Tailgate Talk conversation after this.
From day one, First National Bank has been built on a strong foundation of community first. First to lend a helping hand, first to help with community events and fundraisers, first to support local students, athletic programs, and civic organizations, first to support events like United Way, Relay for Life, and many more charitable events, and most importantly, working for our great community. Without you, there'd be no First National Bank. Making communities great together, that's what we strive for.
Equal housing lender, member FDIC. Daly & Son Car Care is Ardmore's only one-stop auto repair and tire shop. Whether it's major mechanic or brake work or routine maintenance like an oil change or lube job, Daly & Son Car Care has been satisfying customers all over with their fast and friendly service. They're also your headquarters for quality Cooper tires. Stop by and see Wayne, Nikki, or Dale at 25600 Main Street in Ardmore, Tennessee, or call them at 931-427-4651. They're on Facebook too. Daly & Son Car Care, open Monday through Friday, 7:30 till 5, and Saturday, 7:30 till noon. P4 Physical Therapy is a new outpatient provider offering community-based care with a unique partnership model that allows them to consistently deliver world-class outpatient care, emphasizing personalized hands-on treatment. Whether it's orthopedic, physical, geriatric, or manual therapy, sports or neuro rehab, telehealth, or most any type of muscle or joint pain, P4 Physical Therapy promises to treat you with integrity, compassion, faithfulness, and selflessness. Locations in Athens, Huntsville, and Winfield, Alabama, as well as Fayetteville and Knoxville, Tennessee. Look for them on Facebook or online at p4physicaltherapy.com.
Your roof is the first line of defense for your home. Do you have water stains on your ceiling, paint peeling off your walls, shingles missing? It's probably time for you to get your free roof inspection. Locally owned and operated, licensed, and insured, Yellowhammer Roofing is the Yellowhammer State Hometown Team. Yellowhammer Roofing. Let our family protect what's most important to you, your family. 256-232-1933 or online at yellowhammerroofing.com.
The world is changing.
Changes. The Tailgate Talk app has changed. It's got a new name and a new look. It's now known as PAS Plus, and it's your home for Applebee's Tailgate Talk, along with James Clement Sports and Calhoun Basketball.
Ooh, change never hurt, huh?
Look for the download links at PASnetwork.net or TailgateTalk.net. PAS Plus, Play Action Sports, plus a little extra. PAS Plus from Play Action Sports. We
Welcome
continue
back
with
to
our
the Best of
conversation
Tailgate
on the
Talk
Best of
on
Tailgate Talk on
1080
WKAC.
I remember back in the day, I went and saw Alabama beat California 66-0.
Oh yeah,
I was there too.
Yeah.
yeah.
And of course, that was in the Wishbone days, but still, it was before the hurry up. Beat somebody else 77-6. And so.
Oh, I remember those games. Yes.
Well, you take that California game. Their starting quarterback was Steve Barkowski, that went on to play the Atlanta Falcons, and their backup was Vince Ferragamo, which eventually transferred to Nebraska and did great. And they had a running back, Wesley Walker, that went on to be, all-pro wide receiver, and they had a couple of great running backs in there, and we did beat them 66-0. And you see today's offense is, we had to defense a lot of the spread way back there in the 70s. It wasn't called a spread, but when you got somebody down 35-0 at halftime, it forces them to open up their offense and put wideouts, 3 wideouts over there and 2 wideouts right there. So, we had to face that a lot at Alabama by my term down there, but offenses have certainly improved as well as defenses. The nice statistic you'd see is Alabama is I think the number one team in scoring defense this year, and they're giving up like 14.6 points, which is remarkable in today's. Well, we led the nation in scoring defense, and we had like 6.3 points. So you see the changes. You don't think that that's only 8 points difference, but it's really the evolve of the offense and the spread. And one big quarterback like the kid from Louisville can make the whole program now. And you have to defend all the field nowadays where we didn't have to back then. You got guys in motion. You got 5 receivers on one side. They go in motion. Didn't have a lot of that. Our playbook defensively was probably about 40 or 50 pages. Nowadays, it's like 300 pages. So it's just evolved as time has, and it's got a lot more sophisticated. And, it's still a good product, but, I love those 10-0 Alabama win over LSU games.
Oh, absolutely.
It still counts, yeah.
I'm an old school guy, but I like games like that.
And you talk about the 300 pages of a playbook, that just kind of flies in the face of that dumb jock. Because if you got to learn 300 pages of plays, you ain't dumb. No, you have to be pretty intelligent nowadays, and not that you didn't have to back then, but it's even more because everything is spur of the moment. You have one defensive called, and then all of a sudden they come out with 2 wideouts to the right and 2 wideouts to the left. They're changing that defense. This is all occurring within about a 25-second period. Guy goes in motion, you change your defense. At the same time, defensive fronts, your coverages are changing. You're making the calls to do that spontaneously. Offensive guys are making their calls in terms of changing of blocking schemes here because we're going to blitz the outside linebacker in here. They pick that up, so they change it.
all that is occurring within that 25-second period. So, when you get down to it, you're prepared, but it's really about the execution. And, it takes a kid a while to play at a major program like Alabama, just simply because of the learning curve. The linebacker today,
Reuben Foster.
Reuben Foster was a great athlete, but he couldn't play at all the first year or two.
Yes.
He was all over the place and made a lot of missed assignments and missed plays, and it was just due to the learning curve. And you work with him, and you see what he's turned into right now. So it's pretty extensive now.
I was going to we got you here. And
yeah,
we always hear these stories, players, play for Coach Bryant. Well, I got a good Coach Bryant story, or maybe you're from your position, Coach. We got it. If you can give us a good Coach Bryant story, I'm sure you were never in trouble down there at all, Conley, 4 years. You were you never got called to the – were you ever on the couch?
Well,
the famous couch.
Well, yeah, I probably can't get into a whole lot of details about it right now, but, I certainly served my time. And, thank God that they didn't have cell phones in everybody's pocket nowadays back then.
Exactly.
But there's a tremendous amount of stories that we have. And, I've got called, me and my dad got called one summer here going into my senior year, which I was predicted as a starter. And, I'd been misbehaving to some degree. And he called me and my dad, and I thought we were going to sit down there, and he was going to start bragging on me and, giving me something extra to do because I was doing so good. And we sat down in that couch of his. And, of course, everybody's heard that couch. You sink down in there, and you just look like a little puppy dog down in there with Coach Bryant. Well, it wasn't good news. It was bad news. And, I got suspended for the first part of the season, and I didn't miss a game, but during practice in here, they sent me down there and put me a orange jersey on. And
oh, wow.
I held dummies for the freshman player in here. I was a seasoned senior, and, I had to work my way back in there and do some extra conditioning and so forth. So he was tough, but he gave us a fair opportunity, and, we made some mistakes, but, he taught us a lot of life lessons in here. And, I guess one regret that I have is that he always had his door open. And so we walking upstairs and we'd see his door open and he's in that office. Well, we'd go back down around and go all the way around to the back, and go up the back steps because we didn't want to, we was afraid he was going to call us into his office. And, I was immature and like a lot of us were. And I wish we had taken a little bit more time and gone in there and sat down and talked with him. And, he used to come over, him and Coach Donahue would come over on Wednesday nights. That's with our team meeting. And, he would go in and eat at Bryan Hall. And we'd kind of sneak in there. And, sometimes he wouldn't even look at us. He'd just say Duncan. And he'd just wave his fingers over there. That means you get your food and you come over here and sit at my table. And, you listen. We're going to talk. And it was just how's everybody doing, certain things are going along with him and how you think things are, with morale and, a lot of different subjects, just kind of getting the temperature and the gauge of where our team is at that point in time. So, those were very memorable times. And, it was quite good, That's awesome.
You threw his name out there just now, and that's Coach Donahue. Mm-hmm. And I was having lunch with his son, Pat, about 2 weeks ago down in Tuscaloosa. And tell us a little bit. I want to send this to Pat if he's not listening right now. But tell us a little bit about Coach Donahue and your experience with him while you were at Alabama.
Well, my first experience with him, of course, he was a tall, lanky guy and had kind of a little quirky personality about him and so forth. Great assistant coach and defensive coordinator. But he probably had the longest arms of any white man I'd ever seen. I mean, he just drug his knuckles down here. And we used to rib him all the time playing racquetball because he'd go down there and play racquetball. And we're all 18, 19-year-olds, and we're pretty good, and we think we're better than we are. And, we'd hassle him a little bit. And he just invited us to come down there one time and play some racquetball with him. Well, that was a huge mistake.
Oh, wow.
He wore our butts out. In about an hour's time, we were crashing in walls and having to go see Goose Tree in the training room and all that stuff. And Donahue hadn't even broke a sweat. He's sitting in the middle of the racquetball court just hitting both sides here with those long arms, and we were just running everything. And so, but immaculate, detailed coach. He had us very well prepared. That was really probably our big secret, is that we put together game plans. I say we, the coaches each had a game at that point in time. They knew that going in. They had a lot of time to prepare. And, we'd play against teams that I knew the first and second and third string guys. I knew sometimes their girlfriend's name and what they were studying in
no
college.
Wonder you getting in trouble with Coach Coach Bryant.
So it was just immaculate. We knew everything. We knew 80% of the time on 1st and 10 they were going to run this play, and on 3rd and 3 inside the 20 in the red zone they were going to run this. It was just enormous amount of detailed information that we had in our game plan. He was a big part of that. Very tough disciplinarian, very tough conditioning. Back then, we didn't get the water like they get today. You have one play and then you go there and get a big squirt of water. Back then, we had individual detailed breaks, and it was on our schedule, very detailed. At 4:17, we're getting a water break. And Coach Bryant would call the water break, and we'd go from 4:17 to 4:19, and the trainers would have those little, 6-inch cups over there, and it was only filled halfway, so we'd get about 3 ounces of water. And so we'd take our headgear off for 2 minutes, and you talking about sipping like a martini. You would just sip on that water, making it last long.
That's all you got with one cup?
Just one cup. Don't go try to get second cup now. Don't try to do that. But Donahue would have his defensive linemen. He'd have their helmets off, but the defensive linemen would actually be running 20-yard sprints while they held their 6-ounce cup or 3-ounce cup of water. Now, they weren't running very fast, but they were moving.
Yeah.
And he would have them move 20 yards up and down the field while he still had that cup of water in his hand. So, needless to say, we won a lot of second-half games and a lot of fourth quarters. We owned them. We were in great shape and well prepared, and Coach Donahue wasn't a guy that you sit down there and you'd have a burger and a Coke with and really chit-chat about life and world events and so forth. But, man, you talking about footballs and X's and O's, he knew his stuff better than anybody that I've ever been around. And he made us championship caliber team and took a lot of players that didn't have, a lot of ability, had some ability, but he made us a lot better. And that was kind of a tribute to him, as well as most of the staff that Coach Bryant had, is that we just played above our heads. We're better than we thought we were, and they proved it, and, it worked out extremely well.
I know Coach Bryant, had this appearance as being just, a rough, tough, gruff guy. Now, back in the, mid to late 70s, and I may be kicking myself after I ask you this, I went down there, I went to church with a guy that was a trainer down there, and so a few of us went down there with him to help him move back into his dorm and all that stuff. Well, we went to Memorial there, or I guess what's Coleman now.
Yeah,
but
Coliseum.
We were just kind of walking around, and we walked past this door, and it's open just a little bit, and we look in there, and there's Coach Bryant sitting behind his desk. Well, one guy was just a little bit in front of us, and as soon as he got by the doorway, he turns around to us and says, "It's him," like we had just passed the door of God or something, and but we just kept on walking. How approachable was Coach Bryant?
Well, as a player, I would say we didn't want to approach him. He was available. We talked just a little while ago about me and my dad having to go up there and thinking we were getting. Well, actually, it was a disciplinary meeting, and
that's what reminded me of this story.
Yeah, that meeting got cut kind of as a pause because he took about 2 or 3 different phone calls during that. One of them was the Vice President of the United States. The other was John Wayne was calling him, and somebody else was calling him about.
Well, I'll tell you, Pilgrim. Coach Bryant's good talking to you.
But overall, once you got your intimidation factor over with, because he's such a larger than life type of man and coach. We were going to a concert one time in Coleman Coliseum, and a bunch of us guys had gotten in a little early and found our way up, and Coach Bryant's office was unlocked, so we were sitting around in his office, just putting our feet back up on the table and, just acting like foolishness, And he walked in. He walked in, and it was just didn't fuss at us a whole lot, just kind of as a normal, y'all here for the concert? I said, we all said, yes, sir. we are. He said, well, I think the concert's downstairs. Y'all better be going on down there. So, he was rough when he had to be, and he wasn't rough. His Wednesday night meetings were really, really good because we'd meet at Bryant Hall, and we'd have just good conversation here, not just about game plans and things of that nature. And he would come over and visit us sometimes unexpectedly. We had a big game room. We played ping pong and pool and all that stuff. And he would come by, and so he was approachable. Mostly it was an intimidation by the other people here that just was scared to death to talk to him. It's now today it's really scared to death to talk to Nick Saban because you ask a stupid question, he's going to tell you.
That's
even though you might think it's a good question, you may not raise that hand one more time because Saban might say, "Well, what game were you watching?"
Something about running through something like through a tin horn or something like that.
Yeah, but Coach Bryant was approachable. We just we're young, we intimidated, and but he would. He met my mom and dad out in Hawaii one time. They were on a vacation in there, and they met together at a rental car place. And my mom and dad never forget that because it was just a good conversation and very approachable. And he was well known all over the world, and he was a good man. Good man.
Before we're at the top of the hour here, so I know we're going to have to take a break. Hope you can hang around. Let's keep going. Yeah. But I want to ask you. You want to take the break now, Tim, and come back? You're the boss.
Well, we got some other guests.
Got some other guests to get on there. Okay, well let me get this wrapped up.
Okay.
We talked off air a little bit, and totally changing gears here. We talked a little bit about the Auburn team currently, and Jarrett Stidham, the big 5-star quarterback.
Right.
But tell me what you told me about Sean White, and what do you think maybe happened with him, and even Cam Petway? Your appraisal of today's Auburn football team?
Well, I think defensively here they can play with anybody. They're very strong on defensive side. They probably don't have the depth that they would like right now, but they're very, very good defensively. Auburn's offensively is just still trying to find their identity, and I think after a couple of games they found the Petway kid and realized how strong he was running between the tackles. That gave him a whole new approach to their offense. And then, of course, you got to have the guy pulling the trigger. And Sean White, I think, just needs a lot more of experience and repetitions. I think he's capable of doing a lot of things well. You got to surround him with good people. And I think, unfortunately, the injury that hurt him as well as hurt Auburn overall, because I think he was head and shoulders above the other guys that were competing for that job. But I like Sean White. I think he is a tremendous athlete. I think he's smart. If he stays healthy and they continue to build around him, I look for him, playing well and starting and really putting Auburn back on the map in terms of being competitive in the championship area, which they were to this year. But I think Sean White has a great future at Auburn, and I think Petway is a tremendous running back, and you combine him with the kid from Madison Academy.
Carry on.
I mean, he's a different type of runner, outside runner, inside runner with Petway, and they need to find him a few more wide receivers, and I think they finally got their offensive line together after a first game or two, and I look for Auburn to beat Oklahoma in the Sugar Bowl.
We're hoping.
Yeah, I do too, and so. We always pull for Auburn. I don't have
not all of us, Conley.
Well, yeah, not all of us.
Not all of us.
I'm pulling for Auburn. And of course, I hate to say that we sent Shug Jordan, which was a great Auburn coach. His last game against Alabama, that was a mistake for them because we sent them out as a loser on that game. But Shug Jordan was a great player, a great coach, and we'll see how Malzahn goes and get his staff together and.
There you go.
They're going to be good.
Absolutely. Be good. Thanks a lot, Coach Conley Duncan.
Enjoy.
Have a great. We're going to toss it off to our sponsors. You've been listening to Applebee's Tailgate Talk on WKAC, the Big 1080.
We'll be back with more of our Tailgate Talk conversation after this.
While others have come and gone, the Lions Den Gym has been roaring as a workout and exercise fixture in Athens, growing from its humble basement beginnings in 1981 to their current 10,000 square foot location at 212 Commercial Drive in Athens. The Lions Den offers 24/7 access to their ever-expanding equipment collection that includes treadmills and climbers, elliptical trainers, stationary bikes, loose weights and dumbbells, and over 45 different weight machines. Contact the Lions Den Gym about a membership today at 256-652-2627. Visit them online at lionsdengym.com or on Facebook. The Lions Den Gym, 256-652-2627. When you're looking for something special for your next event, why not bring in the most amazingly fine flavored shaved ice this side of the islands, Kona Ice of Decatur in Athens. Whether it's a school or major sporting event, a picnic, or a festival, Kona Ice brings the fun and laughter. From their steel drum music to their signature flavor wave, where guests can flavor their own shaved ice. No event is too big or too small. Kona Ice makes fundraising easy too. Call Kona Ice today and tell them what you have in mind. 256-566-5298. Or look for them on your favorite social media platform. Kona Ice of Decatur in Athens. 256-566-5298.
For screen printing, sign printing, banners, logo design, and more, look no further than That Shirt Printing Place. Located at 709 North Jefferson Street in Athens. Call 256-444-1827. That Shirt Printing Place. Visit them online at thatshirtprintingplacellc.com. Look for them on Facebook too. That Shirt Printing Place. 256-444-1927. That Shirt Printing Place.
The Bama Zach Memorial Scholarship has been set up to honor the legacy of Bama Zach Green, a huge fan of the Crimson Tide, along with Limestone County sports. The scholarship will go each year to a male and female athlete from Limestone County. Checks should be made out to Bama Zach Memorial Scholarship and can be sent in care of Garth Garris, 13833 Pinnacle Drive, Athens, Alabama, 35613. Donations can also be made in person at First State Bank of the South at 1319 Highway 72 East in Athens. Thank you for showing your support for local athletes by giving to the Bama Zach Memorial Scholarship. Check out the WKAC sports page. Go to WKAC1080.com and click on the WKAC sports icon. You can listen to the current sports stream as well as game archives, past coaches shows, and Applebee's Tailgate Talk on demand. If you're on your smartphone, you can stay automatically updated as new items are posted. The WKAC sports page, another reason why your best source for Limestone County sports is WKAC1080.com and 1080 WKAC. You're listening to the best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
Ladies and gentlemen, on the hotline, welcome to Applebee's Tailgate Talk, Mr. Kevin McLeod, one of my favorite Auburn players back in the day. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing well. How are you?
My goodness, man, it's good talking to you. We're doing great here. Forgive my cohorts here. I'm surrounded by a bunch of Bama fans, so
that's right.
You liable to hear a dirty word like a roll tide or something come out. But
okay,
talk a little bit back in the day. We've had Willie Gaucher, one of your teammates, has actually been online with us here before last year, and man, I tell you, back in the '90s, you playing with Damian Craig, and those were some pretty decent football teams.
Yes, it was. Some pretty fond memories. Some of those games, I just can't believe so much time has went by. But definitely memories that I'll cherish for a lifetime.
Now, were you in the game with? I think it's the Army game. If I'm not mistaken, it was Fred Beasley was grabbed inappropriately by an Army defensive linebacker. Is my memories wrong, or is that correct? Do you remember that?
To be honest with you, I don't really remember that, but I wouldn't doubt it. Guys find all kind of ways to throw your game off, and sometimes they'll use tactics such as that. So I mean, it wasn't just the Army. Other teams have done that in the past, so I wouldn't doubt it.
You wouldn't doubt it. I just remember Fred coming out of the pile, and he was always He was ready. He's the guy that goes back to the huddle and gets ready to come back again. Well, he come out swinging that. That's man, what in the world happened? And then they showed the slow motion replay, and I'm like, that's what happened. So, but what's some of your best memories from being down on the plains? And we'll talk about your professional career in just a little bit.
Okay. Oh man, just the fans. Of course, the games were great. Totally enjoyed it, but the most lasting memories I will have are the fans and the passion that just the whole city of Auburn and the whole state of Alabama had about football. You know, I don't think I've ever experienced anything like it. Even when I moved on to the next level in the NFL, you know, it was never like college. You know, I mean, you had some diehard, you know, professional football fans, but the experience that I had with the fans in college is no comparison, man. It was just truly an amazing, you know, period. And that, for me, I think is the most memorable experience I had during my tenure at Auburn.
That you, from 92 to 96, is that correct, your playing time?
94 to 98.
94 to 98. Oh, okay. Okay, so you got to experience the Coach Tuberville a little bit.
Actually, I didn't.
You didn't? Okay. I'm trying to.
Yeah.
My memory goes, buddy. I'm sorry.
I think he came in 99, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was already with Tampa at the time, so.
That's good. I remember you playing, and I likened your style of running to another former Auburn great, Tony Richardson.
Yeah.
You two. Yeah, you two ran a lot alike. I remember seeing the similarities.
Yeah, we definitely had some, you know, similar abilities. He's, what can I say, man? Probably one of the all-time greatest fullback that has ever, you know, played at Auburn. You know, guy played 17 years in the NFL.
He did. Played a long time with Kansas City Chiefs.
To be compared to him is definitely an honor, so I appreciate that.
Oh, absolutely. Well, tell us, talk a little bit. You were drafted by the Jacksonville Jaguars, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. Talk a little bit about your pro career, and then we'll get to your book here in just a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, so got drafted to the Jacksonville Jaguars in 1998, and you know, for whatever reason, man, you know, the NFL can be so finicky. You know, they'll draft you, and sometimes you may not be the correct fit for their system. And I think I just fell into a situation where I just felt that Coughlin didn't really sort of buy into my abilities per se. And the offense that they ran was more of a tight end oriented type of offense, you know. And they weren't four wides a lot, two tight ends a lot, and you know, I don't know. It was just a strange period. But to make a long story short, I was released during training camp, and well, after training camp, I'm sorry. And Tampa picked me up, and I was on the practice squad for a while, then made the team the next year.
Well, Kevin, I'm sitting here looking at your book, Lessons of the Game, and I'll read some of the reviews. Wow, a very awesome book that every player needs to read. I wish someone wrote a book like this when I was playing. Good job, Kev. That's for Rabi Abdullah from Tampa Bay, and Willie Whitehead. Right. Kevin paints a very true-to-life, in-depth picture of what a football player, the experience from youth ball to the pros. And then we talked about him a little while ago, Fred Beasley. Pretty good book, Debo, a.k.a. Kevin McLeod. Very accurate information. You should do well. Players old and young should read the book. Talk a little bit about your book and your I forgot the word. Tell us your book and your inspirations. That's the word I'm looking for.
Okay. No problem. Yeah, so the book, you know, my let me start off by saying this. My career was just strange. You know, I didn't live up to the expectations. You know, my dream was to play 15 years, and obviously that wasn't so. When I got in the league, immediately I faced adversities, and you know, of course, I was released from the Jaguars, and Tampa picked me up, and then I started to gain momentum when I was at Tampa. Okay, and made the team the next year, and things were going great. You know, by the later part of the season, I started getting playing time, and so things were just really, really turning around and looking bright. And then the next year, I had a health situation, and I was misdiagnosed with this issue with my heart, and the team sort of freaked out, and I basically was put on non-injured reserve and went to some specialists and found out that it wasn't, that serious. It was just a minor little deal that I was born with, but I got cleared. Mm-hmm. But after that, it was so hard for me to make it back in the league because teams sort of was nervous about that whole situation. And so, signed with this team, released. Teams would not really take me seriously because I think that whole issue with the heart sort of was in the back of a lot of teams' minds. But to make a long story short, it took me 2 years after that to actually make a team. I made the 53 with the Browns, and even after a while, I ended up getting released with them, and it was just so strange. It didn't matter how well, and I've had some training camps where I was just absolutely dominant. I've never had. Well, I take that back. When I was with Jacksonville, I had a okay training camp, but all the training camps that I ever had in the NFL, I absolutely dominated and still got the short end of the stick. Yeah. So with all that said, all that experience of not making the teams and going from this team to that team and going through all the adversities that I faced, I compiled it all in a unique manual. And I just talk about a little bit of my personal trials and tribulations that happened, along with things that I've seen other players experience. And I sort of break a lot of things down from a psychological perspective as well, as far as some of the behaviors. But it's a unique manual that I think younger aspiring players can really learn from. Mm-hmm. I put some really valuable information in there, and a lot of the pitfalls that they need to avoid, I talk about that, as well as the things that I think they need to prepare themselves for mentally and physically, I also put in the book. So it's an all-around very unique and interesting, manual. And, it took me about a year to write. And like I said, I think the younger guys are going to really be able to benefit from it.
Well, now you're talking about your book coming at it from a psychological point of view. I think you were a psychology major in college, weren't you?
That's exactly. I received my bachelor's in psychology.
It's amazing what we can learn if we start looking at things, brother.
He needs to analyze some of us, mate.
Especially these three Bama fans. We got to analyze those cats. Kevin,
yeah,
go ahead.
Football players were unique. We're unique people, and that part of the book is really for the parents, or the girlfriends or whoever that really doesn't understand the game. I dive deep into that area of it because, as football players, you have to create this alter ego in a sense. On the field, it's war. Some of the guys that I played against, you would think they're the biggest jerks on the field, but off the field, some of these guys are the nicest guys you'll ever meet. But once they're on that field, they're monsters. And that's the whole psychological part of it, where you literally have to transform your mind and prepare yourself for battle in a sense, and some of these behaviors that some players experience on and off the field, I sort of give my theories as to why, some people, have these behaviors or why certain situations can come about from this whole mental conditioning, for lack of a better word.
Yep.
And so that part of it I thought was very important that people sort of understand, the mental aspects of how it is to be a ball player.
Bo Jackson's quote is one of my favorites. He said, "Football is easy if you're crazy as heck." So,
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin, thank you so much for your time today, sir. And we want to encourage everybody to go to Amazon and find Kevin McLeod's book.
Actually, I would prefer if everyone went to the website.
There you go.
There we
there you go.
There's my mistake for the day. Give us a website, my friend.
You can purchase the book directly from the website. It's www.lessonsofthegamefootball.com. And just go to buy the book, and you're able to purchase it directly from my website. I would appreciate everybody could go that route rather than Amazon, because Amazon, they are really just charging so much.
There you go.
Well, all right, we'll do that. That's www.lessonsofthegamefootball.com by Kevin McLeod.
Thanks, Kevin.
Thanks, Kevin.
All righty.
That was Kevin McLeod. We're going to toss it off to a break. You've been listening to Applebee's Tailgate Talk on WKAC, the Big 10-8.
Come see all your friends at Applebee's in Athens. 12 minutes guaranteed or it's free Monday through Friday, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. 7 items to choose from. Can't make it for lunch? Visit them for happy hour, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. or late night. Half-price appetizers with beverage purchase, 6 appetizers to choose from. Call 233-4430 or order online at Applebee's.com and pick your meal up with Carside to go. Applebee's Neighborhood Grill, Highway 72 in Athens, just off I-65. Eating good in the neighborhood. With all the technology around us today, it's hard to keep up. Goldsmith Technical Services specializes in residential and commercial computer and electronics repair, automation, IT services, and home theater systems and audiovisual services. Goldsmith Technical Services. Call or text 256-203-4226. Visit them on Facebook or online at goldsmithtechnical.com. Let them tailor a package that meets your needs. Goldsmith Technical Services. 256-203-4226.
Bring the man in motion across the line of scrimmage. They give it to him on the sweep play. He's outside, got a little bit of room now. Down the sideline, cuts it back. He's angling for the end zone, and he will score. Wow. Touchdown.
Join us this football season for Limestone County football, streamed right to your computer or mobile device on the Play Action Sports app. You can also hear it on your Amazon Echo by saying, Alexa, open Play Action Sports. Listen for the replay of select games Sunday afternoons on WKAC and download each game from the archives anytime you want. Limestone County football from Play Action Sports and 1080 WKAC. You're listening to the best of Tailgate Talk on 1080 WKAC.
We've got our special guest, Dr. Harold Shinitzky. He's a sports psychologist, and I guess, Doc, before I start trying to explain, I'll go ahead and let everybody know you were the recipient of the 2015 Florida Psychological Association Outstanding Contributions to Psychology in the Public Interest recipient. I mean, and the list goes on. But the one thing I'm noticing, buddy, you at Clearwater in St. Petersburg? Wow.
Not bad.
Not bad to be you, dude.
It is a rough life down here. I'm originally from Chicago, and I got sick of winters.
I don't blame you.
So it looks like, Doc, this is Zach, by the way. It looks like you have worked with Olympians and professional athletes from every organization there is. So you've had a pretty good life, I guess, right there.
I have been very fortunate. I was once the athlete. We had a sports psychologist working with us, and I remember thinking, that's a pretty cool gig. And then over the years, having the opportunity of working with national champion teams up in Washington, D.C., with the Mathis Stags, the Dunbar Poets up in Baltimore, and then starting working with pro teams and Olympians. This has been a very blessed life. I am very grateful.
When you said you were an athlete, before we get into your current vocation here, tell us about your athletic career.
Oh, gosh. Well, I was very fortunate. I grew up in a very athletic family. My father was a three-sport specialist back in high school, and my great-uncle was the head of Parks and Rec for the city of Chicago, so I got to go to Cubs games and Bears games, and it was just magical. I was a three-sport also back in high school, had the opportunity on a couple of the teams, and then college as a walk-on, and the coach directed me to focus on my academics since I couldn't beat anybody on the team. I got my doctorate, but afterwards I was a teaching pro back in Chicago when I got my doctorate. And I was the captain of the Hopkins competitive tennis team when I was at Johns Hopkins doing my training.
Wow. You had it going on, Coach.
Didn't know Johns Hopkins had it.
I was fixed to say, if I couldn't go no better school than Johns Hopkins, I believe I just quit.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. I'm from Chicago, so I know people.
There you go. Remember that, Tom.
I know a guy.
I know a guy.
Oh,
man. That's awesome.
Doc, what I'm looking there, Todd printed, I give Todd credit, he printed out the page list of accomplishments. And one of the things here at the bottom, well, first we're going to talk about your book here in a little bit, but, you know, you do Asperger's, I'm sorry, Todd, Asperger's interventions, clinical motivation. But at the bottom here, it says the National Forum on Native American Dropout Prevention Strategies. I mean, is there any topic of psychology that you don't cover?
Well, before I came down to Florida, I was the director of prevention services in the Department of Pediatrics at Johns Hopkins at the School of Medicine. Wow. And my whole thing is to be able to deal with an issue rather than wait for it to become a problem. So my whole career has been spent in helping kids stay out of trouble. And that's how I ended up getting the opportunity of working with the Native American Indian Tribal Council. And that was a magnificent group. They had hundreds of national tribes represented from around the country, and our goal was to help them to be as successful as possible, because unfortunately the dropout rate is stunning, alcohol abuse is stunning, limited vocational opportunities for them. Most kids who unfortunately go through the tribal education, when they come out at high school and go to the public schools, they're immediately put into special ed programs. That's how poor the education is on the reservation.
Wow.
Yeah, I've seen documentaries and stuff, Dr. This is Ty, by the way, of that very situation. And it is sad, the poverty and like you said, just the lack of access to programs or anything, and lack of jobs and alcoholism is just a hard life. So hats off to you, commend you to be working with that group.
Yeah, I had set up a program called Project Champion, and it's a youth prevention program. So it works on developing self-esteem, assertiveness, decision-making, conflict resolution, goal setting, character development, assertiveness, all of those factors that have been proven to decrease at-risk behavior and increase, be it graduation rate, prevent teen pregnancy, substance use. And so it's a pleasure to be able to set these programs up throughout the country.
Doc, how you've dealt with high school athletics, college, and pro. Who are the most kids that you can get through, I guess you could say, as far as athletes, high school, college, or pro? Which ones listen better, what you have to say?
I would actually say if you were to identify the elite athletes at most of these levels, I love your question. There's a group of individuals who have been raised by society at a very young age to feel special, and rules don't apply to them. Those individuals it's difficult to work with because they think they're all that in a bag of chips. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And the sad thing is they can really be a negative to the team if they're playing in a team sport. They don't think they necessarily need the intervention. But the curious aspect, it's the individual who works hard, diligent, persistent. That individual thrives. And so at a young age, and the earlier we can help these athletes develop these mental conditioning skills, the greater we could see their potential as they move to a collegiate level and then on to a professional or Olympic level. So I'm thrilled to work with pros because many of them have never been really given the opportunity or may not have been open to the opportunity. And so they get referred to me one of two ways. The first way is terrible. The second way is really great. The first way is if they're referred to me because the commissioner of the league, a coach of a team or an owner says, okay, you just broke the law, you're on TV for bad stuff, you got some serious problems, go talk to Shinitzky. Well, you're not too motivated to talk to me. You didn't want to talk beforehand. Now you're forced to talk. And the other way, the second way that gets the best referral is when you turn to one of your teammates and you say to your teammate, hey, I don't know what's going on, But before you get into trouble, we really need to work on something. Go talk to this guy, Shinitzky. I worked with him before. He's great. Nobody needs to know that you're seeing him. Now I get a guy who's highly motivated, very interested in resolving things, and I've already been vetted by their buddy.
Yeah. When we've had a couple of guys on here, we had Shane McGowan on a couple of times. I don't know if you know Shane or not. He's calls himself a mental game coach, and then we've had a local guy on here a couple of times, Roger Kitchen, and he's a mental skills coach, and so it sounds like what you do and what they do are very similar, but there does seem to be a difference there.
There seems to be a distinction between the two.
Yeah. Good point. My background was clinical, and I was fortunate enough to get tracked through into a sports world. One of the things that I always like to be able to talk about is that you are working with a tactical coach. You're probably going to be working with a nutritional coach. You're going to work with an exercise physiologist. But are you also working on being mentally tough? And that's where I come in. So how to help an individual stay laser focused, develop a kill instinct, let go of the past, not focus on the future. And that's where I come in.
Yeah, that's a lot. Well, now they do, but years ago people didn't think about that. And athletics is such a mental thing to do, right? Yeah. And doctor, and so by people being able to work with you, that just has to bring their entire game up. And also, you have an advantage. You being a former very good athlete yourself, you know what it was like to have to compete at a high level. So that just benefits the client as well, I'm sure.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just because someone has the intellectual capability to get an advanced degree doesn't mean that they've actually understood the sport. And
exactly.
So a lot of my athletes are grateful that I've had the background and I can also speak the language.
Yep.
So if we get the shanks in golf, we can come talk to you, right?
If we get the shanks.
Let's talk about your book a little bit. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say there is one chapter specifically devoted to the concept of choking and the yips. It's called The Unmentionable.
Good deal.
There you go.
Good deal.
There you go.
Awesome. Well, speaking of that one chapter, the book is named Your Mind, an Owner's Manual for a Better Life.
Actually, that's my first book.
That's your first book? Okay. Book. Wow. Well, tell us about the latest book then.
The latest book is called A Champion's Mindset, 15 Mental Conditioning Steps to Becoming a Champion Athlete.
Perfect.
So that you just don't have to be an athlete to read that book then, Doc, because that would apply to real life too, I'm sure.
Absolutely. The idea that first book and my second book, the first one was what are the most common issues I see that present in counseling, and here are the recommendations to make. The second book was Take Control of Your Anxiety, a drug-free approach to living a happy, healthy life, because anxiety is the common cold in mental health. And this third book is my passion. This is my specialty, and that is A Champion's Mindset. And so my role as the sports psychologist is to help not just athletes, but you'll find by going through the concepts in the book, if you acquire or assimilate these steps, these skills, it'll not only help you on the competitive field, these will help you in life.
What is the most common issue that you have to address with athletes, individuals who come to you for help?
The internal self-talk. It is stunning. These are usually high achievers, and they have this tendency of being perfectionistic, which is a double-edged sword. They can be both exceptional at applying themselves, working towards becoming the best athlete they can be. And that's great as far as a motivator. The problem is they can also be hypercritical of themselves and be almost self-abusive. And so I always like to point out to them, we're not striving for perfection. You really should consider changing that concept to strive for excellence. Perfection's an outcome. Excellence is the capacity to do your best.
That's great.
That's interesting.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's very, very interesting right there.
I mean, just think about it. If you are striving for perfection and you are the top in your sport, that's magnificent. But based on that same logic, if you're the sixth best player of whatever that sport is in the world, you might as well just quit.
Well, yeah. That would be that mindset, right?
Right.
That's a
and
great
that's
point.
the sad thing. You probably know people who are this way too, and they're never, ever comfortable. They're always what's next, and they can't kind of appreciate life.
Yeah.
And by the way, just because you do your best doesn't guarantee an outcome. And so I point out to all my athletes, I mean, let's just say you golf and shoot a course record 62. It doesn't guarantee you win the tournament. You might have had a couple of other rounds that were off.
Yeah.
Swim your fastest that you could in a pool and go against Michael Phelps, and I bet you're going to lose. The goal isn't perfection.
Yeah,
it's doing
right.
your best.
That's right.
Well, Doc, we want to thank you for coming on, and don't be a stranger. Here's your website for everybody that's listening out there, www.drshinitsky.com, and I'm going to spell that for everybody. Not like I need to, but that's www.drshinitsky.com. Doc, it's been a hoot, and we want to wish you the best.
You guys are great.
Thank you, Doc.
Thank you, Doc.
Dr.
Take
Harold.
care.
Thank
you. Dr. Harold Shinitzky. You're listening to Applebee's Tailgate Talk here on WKAC, the Big 1080.
You've been listening to the best of Tailgate Talk. You can hear the archive of this and other shows online at tailgatetalk.net. Join us next Saturday at 10 a.m. Applebee's Tailgate Talk is a production of Play Action Sports on 1080 WKAC.